President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145% that I set down to 100 and then down to another number? And I said you have to open up your whole country. And because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till July 9. I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything. This country was dying. You know, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I went to Saudi Arabia. The king told me. He said, we have the hottest country in the world right now. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation. You set a number. And if you go down, if I set a number at a ridiculous high number and I go down a little bit, they want me to hold that number, 145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got? Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. That's high. They were doing no business whatsoever, and they were having a lot of problems. We were very nice to China. I don't know if they're going to be nice to us, but we were very nice to China. And in many ways, I think we really helped China tremendously because, they were having great difficulty because we were basically going cold turkey with China. We were doing no business because of the tariff, because it was so high. But I knew that. But don't ever say what you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead. To me, that's the nastiest question.
Now, I'm not saying that this reporter hit a nerve by introducing Trump to the nickname taco, but yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. This term, taco, Trump always chickens out, was coined by Robert Armstrong, who's a writer for the Financial Times, and it's intended to capture how markets have fallen on Trump's vow to impose steep tariffs on imports to the United States, and then jump back up when Trump inevitably announces pauses on those very tariffs. And the fact that it's become so pervasive that one Australian economist mocked Trump by saying that his tariff policy nearly lasted one entire long weekend should tell you just how predictable this pattern's become. But Trump's wounded response about China perfectly illustrates the problem here. He brags about reducing tariffs from 145% to 100% as if that's some kind of victory rather than a complete capitulation. When you unilaterally lower your own rate and the other country does nothing, it's not a win, it's a cave. Or put in terms that Trump might better understand now, he chickened out per usual. And the most damning part, Ted Jenkins, president of Exit Stage Left Advisors, told the New York Post that there's now a simple strategy on Wall Street based on those shifts. Quote, once he delivers bad news, investors are buying these stocks when they are beaten down, waiting for him to chicken out and watching those stocks rebound in value. Think about what that means. Wall Street has literally created an investment strategy based on the assumption that Trump will cave. They are making money off of his weakness. Most recently, Trump on Friday vowed to impose a 50% tariff on goods from the European Union, causing the markets to fall. On Sunday, he said he had a good call with the European Commission president and that he was giving the EU until July 9th to reach a deal with the US. Markets reacted positively to that news on Tuesday. The Dow Jones was up 721 points, or about 2%. In other words, Trump threatens massive tariffs on Friday, markets tank, and then by Sunday, he's already backing off and giving them until July to reach a new deal, and the markets surge. This isn't strength. This is exactly the kind of predictable pattern that Wall Street is literally banking off of. Again, when your strategy is so predictable that there is already an acronym for it, then it's pretty clear where your reputation's at. But this strategy of Trump backing down isn't new. Aside from China, Trump announced a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico, unless they took action against illegal immigration and drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl. And what followed? Trump issued exemptions on tariffs for a variety of goods coming into the U.S. from Mexico and Canada, just 2 days after he put the sweeping tariffs in place. 2 days. This guy couldn't even stick to his own tariff threat for 48 hours before he started carving out exceptions. And then there's this one. On Wednesday, Trump exempted automotive goods from the 25% tariffs that he imposed on imports from Canada and Mexico as of Tuesday, levies that economists saw as threatening to stoke inflation and stall growth across all three economies. Trump issued exemptions after meeting the executives from top U.S. automakers, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. In other words, Trump imposes tariffs, then immediately meets with auto execs who presumably told him that these tariffs would be as catastrophic as they were going to be, and within 24 hours, he's granting exemptions. Ford CEO Jim Farley warned investors long-term a 25% tariff across the Mexico and Canadian borders will blow a hole in the U.S. auto industry that we have never seen. And of course, Donald Trump caves because his own policies would have been a disaster and he will not stick to anything. But here's what makes this so much worse than just embarrassing. Quote, "The reason why the tariffs go up and come back down is businesses or markets are pressuring him to back off," said one analyst. Another strategist explained, "A continuation of this on-again, off-again with tariffs, particularly with Mexico and Canada, is creating uncertainty in markets." In other words, this isn't just about Trump's ego here, although clearly that's wounded given his defensive response. The reality is that what Donald Trump is doing is hurting American businesses, American workers, and American consumers. Every time he makes these threats and then backs down, he creates massive uncertainty that businesses have to plan around. So if you're trying to foster investment into the United States, then you unilaterally undermine that objective by creating an environment that makes that kind of investment impossible. So when Trump asks, "You call that chickening out?" Yeah, man, that's exactly what we call it. And the fact that you are so defensive about it just proves how much you know it's true. What's unbelievable here is that Donald Trump thinks anyone's buying this whole spin that he's putting out. You don't get to threaten massive tariffs, immediately walk them back when you have any pushback, and then claim that this was your strategy all along. That's not 4D chess, that's you being a bad negotiator. The taco talk only exists here because Trump has created such a predictable pattern of threats, followed by immediate capitulation, that professional investors can make money off it. Think about how pathetic it is that financial markets have figured out that our president is so weak, so unreliable, that they can literally bet against him following through and consistently win. And now that Wall Street has given this pattern a name, you can bet that every foreign leader, every trading partner, and every adversary knows exactly what it means. They know that when Donald Trump makes threats, all they have to do is wait him out and maybe make a few token gestures, and he'll fold like one of those cheap suits that our America First president manufactures overseas. That's not the art of the deal, that is the art of the cave. And judging from Trump's wounded response to learning about this new nickname, he knows it too. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.